furnace, which is not good. So we had the guy come out to repair it, which didn't last very long, so it failed again. So it's in the low 60s here indoors, which isn't that bad. But it's sunny outside.
I bet your family's condemning you for trying to save too much money by keeping the thermostat too low. Is probably what's happening.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I thought, oh, the people who are watching the cats must have really decided, it's a little too warm in here. Let's really crank down the thermostat.
All right, let's get started with all this. I hit the record button already. I was laughing at myself, but I used a new tool at the beach yesterday called MyV, which I thought we'd chat a little bit about today. It's just something new. And a friend of mine went over and says, "Nice goatee," and I'm looking. I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? I got to probably do a little grooming of the goatee here. It's turning into a more Ansel Adams thing, I think." But anyway, this week in hospitality digital marketing, Mr. Robert Cole, thank you so much for joining us. I think Julie's with us as well. She's I think quietly in the sidelines, but she's more than welcome to join whenever she'd like. Yeah, and I threw out the topics. I don't think a little late. I just kind of gave a little bit more thought to them. I wanted to try to bring up. We try to keep this category. Julie says Happy New Year. As always, we want to try to keep this into 3 categories. The first category is new tools or tools that can be used for hospitality or how they can be used for hospitality. The second is current relevant news, which you constantly kick my butt on because you always seem to bring brainer stuff to it than I do. And the third is, of course, any techniques or tactics that have been successful in using what we've been discussing, whether it be tools or strategies or platforms or whatever. And we try to keep the context within 10 minutes of each of those. So my first suggested topic was one that people don't really know the real advantages of, or what could be potentially advantages of. And that is the tool that Google has out there called Google Surveys. I don't know. Have you ever tried using them before, Robert, or have you used them?
I've looked. I haven't actually used Google Surveys. I use Google Forms quite a bit for survey work and things like that, which is was great. Do a lot of stuff with it, but certainly the surveys is terrific because that provides people to take the survey, which is always you can create the questions, have a great form, terrific design, but nobody taking it is always a problem. So Google's fixing that.
When I was out at Google for their partner summit, 4 months ago or something. Of course, they're big about their Think with Google, which is a whole nother platform we've discussed before as well. But the Google surveys, I was always skeptical of their real value because who actually answers a survey on a mobile phone? I mean, it's Pavlov's dog. If the bell rings, I get a treat. If I answer surveys, I get a reward. And you think that there'd be biased survey results, like people are just doing this to get the reward without giving some thought to what they're doing. But when you start using the surveys and the depth of the detail that the surveys can provide into filtering who actually receives these, they're wickedly powerful. I mean, needless to say, and I'm not saying that our industry has the monopoly on this, but we tend to believe our own stink sometimes. We believe that what we think is happening, that we are so knowledgeable about who's walking in our door or who's doing business with us, that we don't feel the need to validate that perception. And the surveys, I've used them, are really eye-openers as to what you think you're doing with business versus whom you're actually doing business with based on people. I mean, you can be very, very specific about who would actually see these surveys. And one of the ones that I found was the most success is frequency of return. There's an article that popped up just recently of if I do email accounts, or if I open an email from a hotel and I open it twice, does that mean I'm more likely to buy? And the point of it is no, you're not. You might be just interested in the context of the offer, but not really in the relevance of purchase. And with surveys, a lot of times you talk about, okay, they stayed with us last year, so they're going to stay with us again the same time next year. Not really. Hey, there's a frequency. And just maybe asking people, saying, hey, how often would you like to come back once you've been here? And you find out that the frequency is not what you think it was, or the rate resistance that you thought was there wasn't there, or the reason for the trip that you were so certain of it was that event or whatever really wasn't the reason why you had the business that you had. Anyway, I'm talking more than I should be, so I'm going to throw it over to you what you think about it.
No, I completely agree. I think hoteliers in general, they're passionate about their business. They take tremendous pride in what they're doing, and they're myopic. They're looking in their little world, and they want the programs that they've pitched and gotten funding for and promote. They want them to be successful. So a lot of it's kind of this self-fulfilling, prophecy where they're hoping for the best, and it really comes down to yeah, there's not a lot of monogamy in travel is the problem. That, I always joke that, hey, your guests are sleeping with other people. This is not good, sort of thing. But they sleep around now, so, and it depends why they're staying. And so, I'll joke that, hotel, somebody opened my email. Well, they're ready to get married. Let's go. I mean, this is it. But and no, that these people don't have a long customer lifetime value. They only want to stay for one night. I mean, I stayed at a property in Lubbock, Texas, for 2 days because I had to go in for my daughter with a tour. Now, I don't know if my daughter goes to school at Texas Tech. Maybe I'll be staying in hotels there periodically for whatever reason.
Right.
But for this, it was isolate. I'm never staying. I was looking for a great, who's the stupidest revenue manager in the city, who's got a hotel that'll fit us at an insanely low price.
Right.
And that's it.
Who left up their AARPs and their AAAs when they should have closed them out weeks ahead of time on compression and everything?
Actually, I'll give you an example because Julie's on the Blabcast, and not that anyone else would get an idea from this, because I know, the HSMAI Digital Marketing Conference is at the Marriott Marquis in New York in mid-February. But you start looking around, and they've got a nice, attractive rate. It's good. Marriott's being very fair. HSMAI is negotiated well. Everything's good, except the market conditions are not that strong.
Right.
And I booked a room for 4-star hotel, block and a half away. Would you care to guess, for a couple nights?
I'm gonna be really scary with you because I booked one also, being that we're going to the same conference, and I got to pick up $79.
I did the same thing. We're probably staying at the same place.
Yes. Brand loyalty lives.
Yeah, but I mean, that is a great example. I mean, we both are very dedicated to HSMA. Would love to do that, but really, should I pay 3 times as much? It's a block and a half away. It's so, and now the hotel does cheat and winds up, you got the $54 or whatever it is, $27 a night mandatory hotel fee.
Right.
Previously known as the resort fee, which doesn't work so well in New York.
No, it's
so that was kind of hidden there.
Fee. Yeah,
but it works to $120 a night.
No, we did. You did scare Julie. Julie's worried that you may have too big of a room block at the Marquis. We might have to bow to consensus and stay at the Marquis just because in support of. But we do want to also welcome Bart and Richard. Richard, I'm not even going to try your last name. My apologies. Unless Robert, you think you can better say it than I can. But any questions that come up, please post them off to the side. That sounds about right. All you have to do is put a /Q in front of whatever statement you make to ask a question. And by all means, we have 2 empty chairs. Hey, Bart. So if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join us visually. It's not us talking to each other so much as it is getting dialogue with others as well. We try to keep it to topic. And right now, we're talking about the Google surveys. If I put the link into the chat side so that you can go take a look at them. Some are very, very affordable. There's also a lot of floating coupons out there where you get $75 off. From Bethany joined us too. Hey, Bethany. Happy New Year to everybody, by the way. But the survey usage of it's great for validating with everybody talking about data usage and more trying to include what data can tell us about our marketing strategies. And there's a lot of platforms out there trying to already say that they can do this. The survey tool from Google is really useful in just, if anything, validating what you believe to be true with a confidence factor, just to say it is in fact what we think it is, or guess what, it really isn't what we thought it was, and this is a different way we should be looking at it. But the tool itself is affordable, it's usable, and ironically, the best people to use it are the people that are actually at property level or very much engaged and knowledgeable about their business cycles and business histories, because they're going to ask the better questions in the survey structure because they don't have to be told what to ask. They need to know whether or not what they're thinking or doing is more accurate. So It really is a good ground level useful tool. It is about go ahead.
Well, no, and the tool's great because you can have conditional responses. They cost a little bit more, but you can start saying, well, if you answered this to this question, then you can drill down on that response, which is very, very powerful. So you can really do some really good things with it. The one thing though is, if people are looking at 10 cents a response, or I think that's kind of the general for just generic questions, if you just have a list of questions you want to ask, which is fine, to make sure the sample size is sufficient. I just saw there was a recent report that was published by a group that shouldn't be, I won't name them, but it was a group that should know better, and it was about travel and talking about hotels and what's going on. The sample size was 300 travelers, and it was 200 business travelers, 100 leisure travelers, or maybe I got those backwards. And they had these things, and you kind of go, oh, well, that's reasonable stuff. People are citing these in articles as, you know, this is it, and look at this, and look at this swing. And I'm looking at this going, that sample size is crazy. Well, that isn't represented, because then they started doing slices of it based on demographics, and they're saying, oh, well, such percentage of people over 45 years old do this, and under that, and they're disproving, you know.
But we have the same problem with HSME as on our benchmarking study. I'm not saying problem, it's validation. In order for a benchmark study to be successful, you have to have sufficient sample data indicative of the demographic you're looking for. You can't just say one person out of that study you just said, because of their demographic profile, represents their entire demographic genre, because the sample size is too inaccurate. You need critical mass and sample size. And Google survey is good about this. If you create a survey that gets too narrowcasted into whom it's talking to, it actually tells you this is not going to be sufficiently successful. It won't let you actually ask certain questions, and it won't let you put together a sample size that doesn't prove to have a relevant value. I mean, a lot of these things, they're as simple as validating an offer type. I think it's great that we do a buy 3, get 4th off, or 25% off if you buy 2, or whatever. And you may think that, so put it into the market for the demographic profile that you know is indicative of the business cycle you're in, and validate if they're even interested in the offer idea. They might look at it as just a generic white noise offer that has no bearing on their decision-making process. But you could tailor it to something more specific to the market and say, hey, if we offered this during the basketball game or something that, you know, people are coming down to, would you be interested in it? You might actually get a more positive response for the same revenue yield.
Right. And again, just the difference between surveys versus actual behaviors, you want to look at what are the actual behaviors of these individuals, because they may say, I like this better than that. And they do. They do like it better, and they say, check number, but their behavior may not do that. So you also want to take it into consideration when you're testing these. If you can on your website have a sample size and say, okay, we're going to show X% to these people, X% to that. It's the same sample. How does this behavior work? And go, yeah, the promotion that we thought it was going to be a 4-to-1. It was really strong, but it didn't quite work out as strongly as that. That's great information. So the next time you do a similar sort of question, you can keep modifying, see what aspect, and go, yeah, people aspirationally are very interested in doing this. This is their intent, but in actual practice, it falls short. Yes, we want to go on a honeymoon to the Seychelles. Where are the Seychelles? Oh, that's a long way away. That's really hard to get there, and it's expensive, sort of thing. And they go, oh, well, so the people ask the question, would you consider taking a honeymoon in the Seychelles? Yes. Would you like to? Yes. This is great. But then all of a sudden you wind up with other factors coming into play that wind up slowing down the penetration.
One thing I do before I lose, I know the Bethany joined us, and by the way, Happy New Year, Bethany, as well. And Bart, of course, already did, and they're all from Stengog, which is crazy good, smart people. Was I found a neat link, and I'm going to put this up after our discussion of epic social media fails, where even the best, most knowledgeably intended professional organization sometimes can't read a clock correctly. And I'm sure that it's already been shared around in Standing Dog or not, but like the London Tower, wishing everybody a Happy New Year a little bit early, like a day early, because they put 12:01 a.m. the 31st. Just little things like that. But it was just a great little montage. I'll throw the link in later of no matter how good you think you are, no matter how professional you think you are, and how well on top of things, the simplest of things like that, just picking the end of an morning instead of the evening of, can literally make the difference of people making fun of you, like, thanks for the early warning, or, are you sure you got the right date? Check, that kind of weird stuff. But it's a fun little, like,
the law of unintended consequences.
Okay, next part of our discussion is I wanted to throw out, and we can change this if you want to, or if somebody else has a question they want to pop up with, is an article that Google put out, and I put the link into the text feed as well, about the intent of people when it comes to mobile is more powerful than the demographic filtering and demographic profiling that you're doing of the user. Robert, I'm opening it up to you. I know, like I said, you usually bring great newsworthy items to this, and this is my token effort at this. So.
Oh no, that's it's great because yeah, mobile is of the moment, and you start looking at demographic, and I mean I'm an example, right? Where I'm older, I'm mid 50s, right? And gee, well, wouldn't be demographically a big social media user or doing such and such on mobile. I am a painful early adopter on this stuff. I experiment with it. I'm always, mucking around with things. And yeah, so I use Foursquare. I check in on Facebook. I do, and I will look at offers and things that come through those social platforms on a mobile base because it's interesting to me. Where normally you wouldn't target, there wouldn't be enough of me around there. So it really comes down to the whole personalization of individuals and what are their actual behaviors and what are they trying to accomplish. So all of a sudden you have a smartphone user, and I think this also applies to millennial. Everybody's focusing on the millennial this, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, maybe millennials were really big into Facebook at the beginning, but now that's a very large swath of the population, and the younger end of the millennials that aren't that enthused with Facebook sort of thing. So, these things change, but what are they trying to accomplish through that platform? If you're walking down the street and it doesn't matter, you're just looking at things, or you are out shopping, you are looking to do something. That's very different. So, or we were in Allen, Texas, at the outlet malls, very close to where you live.
Very close. I avoid that place during the holiday.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, it was pretty crazy. So, but my wife and daughters love it. Well, I'm going to look for things. They'll just go browse around. They'll go through the whole circle and browse through every store, and they'll go hit quick or go through. They're just looking. I go in. I am like, ding, ding, 4 stores obviously positioned on opposite sides of the mall strategically, so I go do all that stuff. I hate it. I can't find what I want. They've got the right thing, but it's the wrong size. Worst experience of my life. So I had very strong intent. I was mobile. If something could tell me where I could find this stuff, what the price was, I don't know, I might buy it online. Or if I couldn't buy it online, I'm looking for it. If there's an option to go, hey, it's not here at the store, it's the wrong size, boom, I can get the same price online, or it's $5 more.
Well, okay, whatever. So from a usability function, I mean, to try to put context to it, and like I said, Bethany, Bart, Julie, anybody who wants to join in on the topic with this, because this has been a conversation I know we've had in times before, is for it to be moment related and be in the moment. It's not about creating the strategy of saying I'm going to cycle target somebody at a certain time of day with a certain message. We know that we already do. Are you saying that maybe by geofencing, by proximity, you're creating an opportunity like using Geophedia or someplace else like a Falcon that can create a fence around an area so that if you're in and about looking for stuff, you can be triggered additional content that might be relevant because of that locale?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and part of it is where is that person? What are they doing? And the other half is what is their profile? So if I'm shopping, and again, off of the hotel side for a little, but yeah, I have a particular sizing. If my profile knows my size, then that's good. Then it's fine. So again, stores and retailers are using beacons to go figure out where people are standing, how much time they're standing in front of things. Very, very finitely geofence. And it's just the beginning of it, but that's really helpful stuff. When you start getting into the hotel aspect of it, all of a sudden it's, Lauren staggers in at, 10 o'clock at night, whatever after the conference.
After lunch I'm staggering. After lunch I'm usually pretty staggering. So
that's right. But suddenly you're walking by the hotel lobby bar on the way up to the elevators, going right by it, and it says, "Oh, Guinness 2 for 1 happy hour." I don't know. Maybe suddenly you'll get a second wind and head over. Those are powerful, and those are all Google's micro moments where here's it. Somebody has. Maybe you can change your intent. I'm going up to go to sleep, and that's fine. But here's an opportunity that can win me over.
So from a hotel perspective, and this is just thinking off of what you're saying, is say for instance, and we've had some bad weathers run through, okay, and I'm going to be driving back to Dallas here in a week and a half or so, and I hit a front, and now I didn't plan the front. I saw the front because God knows there's enough technology that tells me where all the weather's at, but the weather was worse than I anticipated, and I'm not going to get where I intended to stay. But now I have to find a place to stay. Now, can we or should we, if I'm a hotelier, a smart hotelier, say in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there, that says, you know what, I got a front coming through. Let me fence the highways coming through. And let me tag people that if they're pulling up under content of places to stay or hotels in Hattiesburg or motels in Hattiesburg or places in Hattiesburg or whatever, that I get flagged up to say, I got a great deal or I got whatever I want you to know about. I mean, that's pretty aggressive. I mean, that would take a very active person to property level to be that sensitive to very simple things like that. But wow, all of a sudden now people are pulling off at Hattiesburg that had no intent of originally staying there or even know you existed, going exactly to your location because you made it convenient for them to find, buy, and select and do a click to call that says, yeah, I'm getting stuck on the road. I need to pull in, blah, 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 blah. I need a reservation kind of thing. That would be aggressive. Yeah. That could be the difference between ending the day on your forecast or ending your day below your forecast because the weather could have kicked away a lot of people that didn't.
Sure.
Too.
All of a sudden they can't get there. Yeah. Sort of thing. Yeah. When we were flying into Dallas, they had a lot of disruptions the day before, and flights were oversold and things were gone. And that was a situation. We actually wound up changing our plans to go to Oklahoma City, and we rented a car and drove down to Dallas from Oklahoma City because that was a faster way to get there because flight cancellations and things like that. And you're like, oh crap, this is bad. As opposed to we could have just hunkered down in Atlanta, but it was like, well, now what are we going to be on standby? And it worked. And again, we were renting a car in Dallas, and I would have loved to have rented a car from the same place, but I looked at it in Oklahoma City to rent a car for whatever it was, 11 days. And to drop it in Dallas was $780 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we had already rented the car for 11 days in Dallas for $270 or something like that. It's like, no, not going to do it. And we wound up getting killed for a one-way rental for like $130 or something like that. But as opposed to canceling and rebooking on other planes and doing whatever and non-cancelable things, coming days later, missing stuff. It's like, no, here for 3 people, $130 one way from this, that. We got it. Let's go. Done.
Yeah.
But a way to plan that without knowing how to do it, that's really complicated. To have a car rental company go, hey, you in Atlanta who's trying to get here, why don't you come up to Oklahoma? That's complicated. It's multi-channel, different air. You get book this flight, then you come in, we'll do it.
But now this is where a TripIt or other software-based platforms have a real good lead advantage, or Expedia if you did a package deal with them.
Absolutely.
Because if they know that you got bumped from your flight and your options are available to them on APIs anyway to know what you're either to fly out with or whether you're going to get stuck at or whatever, they could then start feeding more A-specific options to you saying, hey, you could fly to Oklahoma City and here's an offer from Hertz to get you down to Dallas.
Yep.
Or, you're stuck in Atlanta, here's a nearby hotel that, you can book at these offers. Mm-hmm. It would be very reasonable to think that this year in particular, as people get to use the data that they have available more, that TripIt might think of this and say, hey, you know what? We know this is going on. Let's start tailoring our content to them based on what their changing travel plans are. Because again, most populations do not need to worry about the level of travel that you and I need to worry about. They're traveling maybe twice a year, maybe 3, one of which is even airplane related.
85% of American Airlines passengers travel once or less.
You know where I got the stat from. You know where I got the stat from,
which is a stunningly low number. You kind of go, really, with all those frequent flyers, that's amazing. But that's, the frequent flyers are very small niche, very important, very profitable. But then you have the unwashed masses, which are huge. And I use TripIt
because there's no benefit membership program that's helping them. Once a year, I don't care whether I fly American or United. I'm price driven.
Right. Yeah. And talk about hotels. That's the hotel's problem. The road warriors who, they're complete point whores for Hilton or Starwood or whatever it is. Yeah, that's fine. They're playing the game. They're accumulating a bunch of points based on the company's travel spend, that they're being subjected. That's fine. Kind of shifting company resources for their personal benefit, which is fine. That's the game. But all these other people don't care because they look at it and they go, wow, I've got 4,000 points in this program. How many do I need to stay overnight in a room? Oh, 70,000.
Yeah, not even my husband.
Forget that.
I don't know whether I should have hope or despair on an article. The young woman that's now in charge of it's on a T News article. I can probably pull it up and throw it later on the Lab Class link. She was talking about the merger between Marriott and Starwood, which she's responsible for. She says, points are just the beginning communication. It's really about driving the experience when they're here. Part of me is excited into thinking they're going to give more immediate gratification rewards being at a property. And the other part of me is severely disappointed that they're still thinking that people actually want to listen to what they're saying about membership value. Because unless I'm getting value as I'm using it, I really don't care whether you're trying to put a carrot on a stick or extend my opportunity to stay or anything else. I want value to say that I'm willing to listen to this stuff. So I don't know. By the way, did you have to go down 75 when you went into Dallas?
Oh, down Interstate 75? Yeah.
Yes, that construction. I bet you had a great.
No, actually, we came down 35.
Still almost as bad. Bad.
Yeah.
All right, last topic.
The thing with the points is, I always say, loyalty is earned. The points, those are not hotel loyalty programs. Those are frequency programs. They're points based. These are transactional value calculated sort of totals, or people just play it and they don't care. They just want the points. But true loyalty, where they say, here are two things that are equal and I will pick Marriott instead of Hilton because I like, that sort of typically where they're loyal to it, that's a little bit different. So I think they're going to be focusing on how do you enhance stays? How do you provide people with better experiences? How do you experience the destination better? Those are huge issues that I know they want to work on. They want to develop. What's hamstringing them is the technology right now in terms of how's the property management system talking to the central reservation system, talking to the CRM system.
Yeah, they're still not.
All of those gaping chasms between those platforms is tough because, again, you don't want to make mistakes and be the next social media example of somebody doing and real quickly, that when I was with Four Seasons way back in the 80s, this is pre-internet, right? Or in marketing plan, they decided to run something. This was very early on, of a frequent guest thing, because the Washington, D.C. hotel had 60% return guests, which was great. But they decided to do something for first-time guests. So they decided, well, we're going to find people, they had certain slices and cuts of past guest data. And they said, we're going to send them bathrobes, like really nice, the hooded high terry cloth, great bathrobes. And I was kind of the corporate. I go, hey, we can help you do. Oh no, we got it handled. Are you sure? Whoa, the matching. You sure about the? Yeah, we got it all set up. Okay. They sent these things out like on a Wednesday. By Monday morning, they got general managers' first two calls. One pissed off executive from Detroit with ABC, because it said, thank you for staying the first time with us, and it's great. And as a token of our appreciation, here's this beautiful bathrobe. He's pissed off because he stays there 40, 50 days a year, and the matching didn't match up because I don't know if it was his home address. His corporate address was Detroit. His travel agency was in Romulus, and he lived in wherever, Pontiac, I don't know, wherever. And it was his home address for whatever. He went for the weekend or something like that. And just oops, he's pissed. I'll never stay with you again. Because you're giving that to people who never stayed. I'm pissed off.
That goes back. That goes back to the fact of saying thanks for having been back with us. And the wife looks at the husband, going, "You've been here before," Oh
no. Oh, that was the second call.
See?
It was a woman who did not, and these were specific. I mean, these were like handwritten notes from the general manager saying it was our pleasure to have your company, or the pleasure of your company on the weekend of March, whatever, for cherry blossoms, the peak of the cherry blossoms. And the wife thought there was some mistake because the husband wasn't there. She wasn't there. He was in Los Angeles on a business trip.
Yeah, we should swap horror stories of hotel operators when I was GM and before I was GM even of hotels, of staff faux pas where. Yeah, we should make a show of just things that have gone wrong with the best intent, and that would be in itself a fun thing.
Yeah, but that single incident stopped Four Seasons from doing direct mail for about 4 years.
Oh, I believe it. I believe we need
because the general managers just went, "Whoa, this is because it was kind of controversial to go try this, but they went in big. It was expensive. I they didn't even. Yeah, I'll save it for the faux pas
We'll do
episode.
the faux pas episode.
The biggest waste I ever saw, but it was another direct mail thing, completely misdirected, huge failure, just gaping hole.
We should advertise that we're doing a faux pas show just to see how many people we can get in there to say, bring your stories, bring your horror stories of things that have gone wrong, just to see who we could get, because I think that'd be a fun conversation. We technically we've run out of time, but we didn't get to the last topic, and I was hoping we would. We could do it briefly because both of us have handled this before, and that is using Twitter. We talk about using these platforms and using these tools, and part of the promise of this Blabcast and all the stuff we try to do with HSMAI is to give practicality to it. And it's easy to talk about, use Twitter for business. One of the first steps I wanted to talk about was using Twitter lists better. And a lot of people aren't familiar with Twitter lists, that you can categorize people that you follow into lists as you follow them, so that you can better understand the intended relationship you had by following them. Like I have lists about news and what I want to follow for general news, hospitality news, other news of things. Then I have e-commerce or digital marketing professionals. But the usage of those lists then mean that if you want to go to business for Twitter and target them, then it's easier to assimilate them as people that you think are related to the context of what you want to advertise. Now, of course, there's platforms like Find Little Bird and so forth that can give you, and a lot of social platforms, Falcon, Bethany, if you were on, I'd even ask you more about them, Sprout Social, Hootsuite, where they can help you find influencers within industries, and that can be used to make lists from. But what are your thoughts on it, Robert? Have you worked with Twitter lists?
Yeah, there are pluses and minuses. It's how you're using it and what the objective is, because I think kind of the pure blind sell, let's just go promote this stuff, doesn't work very well. Twitter is so of the moment. The tweet goes out and that's it. It goes out to everybody who follows you. They see it. And
I think the shelf life is 22 seconds or something.
Yeah. And it's gone, sort of thing. Unless somebody has they're following some sort of hashtag, they're using, TweetDeck or something. They've got it isolated out where they want to dig through it. But that's not normally the case. I really like it for cases where people kind of opt in to communicate through it, like direct messaging and stuff. If you've got you follow, and this is back, that's a really great way. I would think, concierge hotel, you need something, just tweet us if that's the favored thing. But I think that a lot of them would be the same with Facebook Messenger, WeChat, WhatsApp, all these messaging platforms. I think that's going to be the big swing in 2016 as a, kind of forward looking. That is a new form of social media in terms of how to communicate in real time. And there's going to be certainly a lot of commerce taking place on that and communication. And it's just going to grow exponentially.
We've mentioned them, but they don't sometimes realize the impact of these. The ability that there's no character limitations to direct messaging now on Twitter. I don't think a lot of people realize how powerful that is now, because once you've created that following relationship, even when I had worked with American Airlines on their direct messaging back and forth to me about a flight they were trying to help me rearrange, you had to abbreviate your conversation in the context of 140 so that you had to send several of them. Now, all of a sudden, you could write a War and Peace novel dissertation. Right. And as long as it's direct messaging, you're fine.
Yeah, you can add. You have links. You have all sorts of stuff that is really a very quick, instantaneous way to engage with people. And for current guests, that's great. If somebody's use it as, again, you start looking at off of a website, it's like, no, you want some sort of chat function and probably not using Twitter. I mean, I guess you could use Twitter to do it, but again, the other person would have to have it. But you kind of need that following, relationship established to do it, which is a couple of steps. But once that's done, you can do some you can do some really good stuff, but they've got to be engaged enough to want to be connected with you over that period of time. And again, the other thing that makes it tricky is you may want to be really engaged with that hotel for that period of time while you're in the destination, and that's good. And then when you leave, you have very little need to talk to them about it, and you don't want to keep getting direct messages from them. Maybe the checkout survey going, hope you enjoyed it. Here's a link to to the survey to say how did you like it and that sort of thing. And that's fine.
I was hoping to try to promise myself that I wasn't mentioning Facebook today, but the fact that, of course, Hyatt's using Messenger And of course, Facebook has also talked about the API interfaces now being able to use book now or action buttons within Messenger are coming. So you can actually book through it and also reply or make contact. It lends itself to what Twitter's trying to do with this direct messaging, expanding the usage of what you can do for it. I want to read what Bethany put out onto the text line here because it makes good points too, as to a starting point. I mean, it's one thing to talk about making lists. It's another thing about usability. But going back to the mainstay, I'll just read a quote for her. I think where she says, Excel works just fine for influencer tracking. There you can note engagement on a website or other social networks, so you can indicate why you're engaged with them. Also following whether or not that they things about your followers and customer loyalty, make a list of these people entering contests privately, whether they complain or they're positive about it, whether these people are huge fans or not huge fans. With Excel, you're able to quantify just about everything you would find of interest about why you're tracking certain people, so that when you need to reach out to an audience, it's almost like developing an outreach program. And I'm hoping this is what Bethany referred to, is that, you know, if you start categorizing why you have a relationship or why you're looking at a relationship with certain people, then when you need that relationship, you know where to find it under one source, rather than like, oh, who was that, or why was that, or what was that?
Right.
It's a definable way of categorization, and to use any platform efficiently, like Twitter, like Facebook, you have to create context of what you're using it for. And that's where the list value kind of comes in.
Yeah, and so if you're a hotel in Dallas and you find these are Cowboys fans and they come in for games periodically or whatever, you know, that's powerful information. And, you know, if you can do things, you know, maybe they have tickets, maybe they need tickets. I don't know. You know, those sorts of things, if you can suddenly start helping people out with solving their issues, getting to and from the game, you know, all that sort of stuff on a personalized level, that's terrific. And they feel it's personalized, although you may be doing it to 4 dozen people. And again, you know, when you look at something like, you know, a demand generator like the Cowboys with a huge stadium, people coming in regionally, you know, Monday Night Football, something like that, needing to probably stay overnight. They don't want to drive out the next one. You know, stuff like that. That's outrageously powerful. When we opened the Mandalay out in Irving, that we were all over the Cowboys, because Texas Stadium used to be just right down the street. That was huge.
I got to tell you that I have to say that our two screens, I'm in the light, you're in the darkness. So you could play a great Darth Sidious right now.
That's right. I can.
But anyway,
I mean, actually, this is my desk light. I'm using it for warmth because of
the heater problem. Yeah. So next week, I want to throw in the Instagram conversations, because there's some things that have changed with Instagram. One of which is the geographic. You look at a map now and see. I mean, I've been using Banjo for a long time. Useful, but very targeted in the sense it's not scalable, I should say.
Right.
But Instagram now showing you the ability geographically to show what's in your area on Instagram can go a long way on engagement for properties that are in that space and should be in that space. So I want to throw that into next week's conversation. The other thing I want to throw into next week's conversation, I played with a new tool called Meevee. I'll throw the link on this one.
You really need to be on vacation if you're in Florida, Lauren.
I know. You would think that this would be... But I did it on the beach, so it kind of does add as a...
that's even worse, I think.
Okay, let me copy this and put this in. Anyway, this is coming in again in this Pandora's box of all these like what we're doing with Blabcast, you know, with Periscope and with Meerkat. They have their limitations and they have their positives. This Meevee platform is now about there it is. It's about being able to take a live broadcast and put it wherever you want it. You actually get to retain it, and the person watching it doesn't need the app to do it. You don't need Periscope. They don't need Meerkat. They don't need the Facebook Live, which is going to be rolling out here probably, I think February is when it starts getting. It's going to go to certified pages first. Yeah. And then after that, it's going to probably start rolling out to people. I'm sure they're going to do some sort of verification for being who you are for the page you are. But anyway, this one automatically out of the box, I can post it on Facebook and Twitter and have it as a live show on there, and the person can view it without having to. Now, Blabcast here has done a little bit. I do have a page for all of our historical Blabcasts that are recorded, and and live. You can watch it live on the page, and that's at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/Blabcast. And so you can watch it live on that page without needing the platform to do it. But this seems like a more useful tool to drop it on whatever social platform you want without having to drive it to a web page for them to still see it. I don't know. It just we'll throw it in next week's conversation. We'll play with it more this week as well. See if there's any difference to it. But I don't know. What do you have any feedback?
No, I was reading an article yesterday on kind of the demise of apps, right? And certainly certain apps are like, yes, Facebook and things that are like general purpose apps people continue to use, but the specialized apps, like if you're looking at something like a Marriott or one of the particular hotel brands, how you retain relevance and things like that is tricky. So these platforms where you don't have to have this relationship set up where you validate your identity, you go back where you do all this stuff, you got to download the platform, you got to get on, you need to make sure you got a button on your screen, it's linked across, it's supported from your app or your website to go kick it off, all those triggers. That's a lot of complexity and friction from just boom, it's here. Of here's a link, try this, yes, we can talk, we can see each other, this is great. Or if you wind up having something that you can then rebroadcast and you can archive, for slightly different purposes, that's terrific too. I mean, and even from a customer care perspective, you go, great, we had that interaction, they were video chatting, and I don't know if it's FaceTime, I don't know if it's if it's this Mevi platform, whatever it might be. That's great. You may be able to keep it for later and go, wait a second, no, when they were complaining, that is not what was said. We did what we told, and we should not be getting sued.
Right.
So yeah, I think there are lots of things, but yeah, I think certainly the Periscopes and the Meerkats and the
I'm getting more
and the Blabs are great. It's all going to be video. It's all going to be one-to-one how you talk with the individuals.
I don't know whether we'll make it into next week's conversation about going back to the Apple TV. Periscope is on Apple TV now as an app. And it's kind of fun to be able to watch TV on Periscope, watching all the different different people and so forth. Meerkat, I'm getting more disillusioned with because of the frustration of navigation with it, the frustration of limitations with it. Not that Periscope is all that much better, but it seems to be more endorsed or more relevant than Meerkat is right now. And I don't know whether this Mevi is even just a flash in the pan, whether it'll even create. I caught it literally the day that it started. I think I'm thinking like user number 300 or something. It just literally started the day that I jumped on it. And that's thanks to Sean Cohen, who pointed out to me when out of San Antonio. He pointed and said, hey, you see this thing yet? So all these things are going to be flashes in the pan, or they're going to have some value potential until the platforms like Twitter or Facebook come solid. But who else is on Apple TV? TripAdvisor. And they are kicking Airbnb's layout right now. I'm using their interface on the app as a pattern to build an app for their TV. And their engagement about what's in your area, what people's reviews are, current calendar events that are going on, what places you should stay, what are the top 10 things to do, the communities associated with the destinations. It really, truly is. It's not a web interface. It's an engagement interface on Apple TV. It truly is enjoyable. Wow, I didn't know that about that destination. I didn't know that about that thing. It really, if that starts growing that way, we should seriously be worried about that. Oh, Julie's going to have to leave us. Yep. I think, actually, you know what? I'm going off on this. It's 2:15. We did a 45-minute show today almost.
We're getting better.
We're narrowing it down.
No, TripAdvisor is doing some great stuff. If you just look at their map functionality, where you have the list of hotels, and you've got the star rating, you've got how many, the user rating, and it's interactive. You highlight the hotel, you go, oh, that's located over there. That's located over there. It's looking a lot better.
And they have the book button right on the app.
Bookable live rates, best rate. Click, boom, done. They've raised the bar, so they're doing some pretty good stuff. And again, that's how I think, especially on mobile, how you can get that on a small piece of screen real estate and make it real efficient and nail the usability is just huge. But and the only other thing was on Periscope. I think it's winning the wars over Meerkat because it's all, you need a community. If nobody else is on it, it may be better technology, maybe cooler, maybe faster. But again, the backers for Periscope. That I think they want it. So we'll see. And major brands are using it too. They're really starting to experiment and do some interesting things, and not just the Red Bulls and the guys doing really cool extreme stuff. I think you have some other brands doing some very clever things to just live broadcast, engage people, and stay top of mind.
I see them mostly being used as teasers. They'll go live at a disco event, thing where they're doing dancing and stuff, and they'll be like, "Come join us!" Click, and they'll be like, "Oh crap, I want to go." All right. Again, if it wasn't for you, Robert, I'd be talking to myself, and that'd be an argument I would probably lose.
And all those years of therapy would be wasted. To try to stop you from doing that. So,
But I do want to thank for everyone that joined us today: Bart Peters out of Standing Dog, Bethany out of Standing Dog, of course Julie Jones out of HSMAI. I think we're going to have more discussions about how we're going to try to integrate our Blabcast while we're doing the conference. I think it'd be kind of fun to see if we can get a feedback audience after a presentation. And anyway, it's fun stuff. But anyway, every Wednesday.
Oh, good. We can just, it's the two cranky guys in the balcony. It's the
old guys,
Statler and Waldorf. Yeah. Statler and Waldorf.
What are they doing? I don't know. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Anyway, again, as always, Wednesdays, it's 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern, and of course, 10:30 Pacific time. Please, if anybody playing this as a recording wants to come join us live, we have 2 empty seats today. Bethany usually joins in as well as Bart. I think they were kind of constrained on being able to join visually, but they at least contributed on context on the side. So anyway, we do try to keep chairs open so people can join the conversation at a time, and we will bring 3 different topics each week. And Robert, thank you as always, and look forward to our next conversation next Wednesday.
Hopefully I'll have heat. If I don't have heat by then,
you'll be joining me down Florida. You're flying down.
It's gonna be brutal. Next couple days, not a problem. Not early next week, not
good. Not good. Hopefully we'll get fixed. Okay.
See you later.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.